tribute to the quick-witted men of letters who always make effort to see how they can allow their pen to gypsy across a white sheet in a bid to paint a wonderful picture on a paper. Welcome again to a fresh edition of Behind the Words, a program, a literary program that gives you everything about literature. It takes a literature, it analyzes it, and bring out the big picture behind the words. I am Hassan Abdusalam, and with me, as always, is the familiar face of a prolific writer, Mr. Eric Andover Nsuta. Right now, he's here with us to continue with what we started earlier in the beginning of this very show. We are going to continue to talk about The Ghost Gun. We are trying to see how we can conclude everything today, but hopefully we are still on the same track. Mr. Eric, you're welcome to a fresh edition of Behind the Words, where our journey continues. Our journey continues because we are still not done with the figurative language you have infused in your book. That is The Ghost Gun. Now, let's see how we can move, on a faster lane now. All right, let me take the very first figurative language you have used here on page 56. And to the viewers who are watching us, I hope you're with the book open to page 56 on the third paragraph, the very first two words there, blood, blood. Mr. Eric, you have used blood, blood here. What does it mean? And what kind of figurative language is that?
Okay. You see, the last time we were discussing about figurative language in the work of art, and we said that figurative language or expression, they are very, very imperative, very vital and important. They are so essential in literature because they bring out the beauty of what you are trying to communicate or put before your audience. So they are very essential. And on this page, I try to use blood, blood, and that is alliteration. And alliteration simply means it has to do with the first initial consonant sound. Now, when you are repeating the first initial consonant sound, in another example, we could see maybe, for example, bouncing baby boy. You see the first initial consonant sound here is alliteration. In the context of the novel, you could see when the Adi people and the Duku people faced in combat, they were exchanging guns and many people were dying. So I use blood, blood to explain the extent which people were dying, the kind of massacre that people were witnessing on that day because there was blood everywhere. And for me to be able to quantify that kind of expression that will give us a clear picture of what was going on that day was to repeat blood, blood on the same line so that people can be able to understand and know that this was the kind of scene people were witnessing that day.
So there's repeating blood, blood. You understand? Because when you could use blood everywhere, like the way you put it here. You said blood, blood everywhere when the Aje and Duku warriors opened fire on each other.
Yes.
Now, if you had used just blood without saying blood, blood, wouldn't it have served?
Yes, it wouldn't have give us a clear picture of what I was trying to paint, because the essence of, had it been I just use blood and just say anyway, everywhere or continue, it would have not given me the alliteration, because there is power in figurative language.
True.
And by using blood, blood, I'm giving emphasis. And by using this figurative expression, which is alliteration, people will not understand, and it will give them the picture, it will give them that image of blood. By using alliteration, by repeating it, it will give you that kind of that image. But if I just use blood and just continue, it will not capture reader's attention, unlike using alliteration.
Okay, now still on this, still on blood, blood. Apart from the fact that those who understand the use of alliteration You understand? And how much figurative language can really uplift their spirit in understanding better and seeing the beauty of what you have written in a novel.
Yes.
You get it now? Because if we had not been able to sit down here and give you a chance to analyze why you have used it here, a lot of people, layman who will read, will just read and pass.
Exactly.
You know, without really understanding the reason why it is here.
Yes.
You understand? So let's now go into another part of this book where you have used another figurative language. There's another page here, page 98 of the book. You said, and more noise was generated, even the trees in the bush could feel the excitement.
Yes, that is hyperbole.
Okay, hyperbole.
Yes,
okay.
hyperbole. Now, hyperbole is a figure of speech that has to do with exaggeration. Now, something will be presented. You could see the usage within the context of the novel. Now, the excitement was so much so that even the trees and the bush could feel the excitement. How excited were they? So I used that to paint a picture that you could be able to see that the people of Ajay, they were so happy. When they captured the ghost gun, they knew that there's going to be peace in their land. And they were so much happy. They knew that the gun will not be terrorizing them again. So they were so excited. And for me to be able to quantify their excitement or their level of excitement is to bring out or to inject a kind of figurative usage. And figurative expression, they are good because they are sacrosanct in the act of literature, because they tend to give you the taste of what you want. Just the way somebody is cooking, the taste of what you want in literature is the figurative language. They bring out the beauty. And in this perspective, you could see, by using this hyperbole, you could see that truly they were so excited. But if you tend to use a plain language, you cannot give people or paint that picture in the minds of readers. But by injecting this figurative language, you can be able to measure or quantify their level of excitement.
Okay, but still here, Mr. Eric, still here, I could feel the use of personification too.
Yes.
Because when you say, and more noise was generated, even the trees in the bush could feel the excitement.
Yes. You see, sometimes when you are writing, there is no standard rule that you could say, okay, this is just one figure of speech you could use. Sometimes in the course of creating another figurative expression, another one will emerge.
Good.
Yes. And that is the beauty. So once it will now give you the taste of what you want to portray.
Okay. All right. Wow. We are really moving. Yes. Okay. The next one is still on the same page where you wrote, the princess smiled with the two compass of her mouth wide open.
Yes. This figure of speech is used when you want to create a kind of mocking somebody. Okay. It is called innuendo.
Innuendo.
And innuendo simply means when you are using a secret way of insulting somebody. You are using a secret way to molest somebody or to laugh at someone. Now, there is this tradition in the Ajay kingdom that before the pinsters, that is the unmarried ladies in the society,
yes,
will be given out, there is this kind of a wrestling match that people, they used to engage themselves into, and the winner will not pick a wife. And on that very occasion, the people that were to pick a wife were into a wrestling match competition. And some of these pinsters, some were laughing at each other because that day it was the princess Dawn, which is the daughter of the king. So some of the ladies were not happy. So one among them could tell the princess, using a secret way to mock her, that she was so excited she could laugh with her two compass of her mouth wide open. So I now use innuendo to describe that particular scenario. Because another example, you could see that, okay, Hassan is a very gentle guy that handles matters unconnected with money. You see, look at the beginning of the sentence.
Yes.
Hassan is a very good guy. You will be carried away with the beginning of the sentence, except you could be able to subject yourself into deep thinking regarding the end or the concluding part of the sentence. Is a gentle guy that handles more matters unconnected with money. Unconnected with money has spoiled the whole sentence.
True.
So it becomes innuendo. So I not use a secret way.
Yes.
Laugh at you.
Yes.
Or a secret way to molest you or to paint a scenario that it is not good. So you use a secret way to insult somebody.
But then I am beginning to see that this one seems similar to the innuendo you're explaining is similar to sarcasm.
Yes,
in a way.
You know, sarcasm and innuendo, they share the same similarities.
Okay.
They are somehow similar.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
But I can say innuendo is the father of sarcasm.
Wow.
Yes, because sarcasm is not too pronounced as when you're using innuendo. In a sarcasm, it's always direct. But innuendo, you use a secret way, and the mockery behind it is more pronounced than using sarcasm. Sarcasm is always a direct. Everybody know your intention.
Just like when you say in this room, maybe there are two people in a room.
Yes,
you understand?
yes.
Well, you are saying that somebody in this room is stupid, and the next person will say, "Are you talking to me?" And if you say, "Well, I'm not talking to you, but if the cap fits, you can wear it."
Exactly.
That's sarcasm too.
Yes. So here, your intention is already known, but people will begin to deduce from it that you are trying to mock me. But innuendo is you use the words. If you're not too careful, you may not be able to even know that somebody is living laughing at you or is using a secret word to disgrace you.
Wow.
You will not even know. So the words are used in a stylish way that if you do not pay careful attention, you cannot be able to identify.
Wow.
You could even, someone will be using innuendo and to describe you and you'll be laughing. That it was the lady in the picture there was saying that the princess was so happy, laughing with her mouth wide open, with the two compasses of her mouth, that is the upper and the lower lips. You understand?
Yes,
so
I
you
do.
may even be thinking that somebody is glorifying you, but ironically, somebody is laughing at you.
Wow.
Yes.
But then when you say two compass, I think can we find metaphors there too?
Yes.
Because you did not mention
Yes.
that the two lips, but you said two compass
Yes.
of her mouth.
Yes. As I earlier said, one good thing is the beauty of figurative language. Sometimes in the course of trying to establish a particular figurative expression, you could see that so many figurative language or usage could emerge in the process.
True.
And that will also bring the text. It will add more value to the picture you are trying to create.
All right, Mr. Eric, let's go out in a very quick break and we'll come back and see how we can continue.
All right.
And I hope you are totally with us. We are discussing the figurative language used in this book, The Ghost Gun, and the writer is with me here analyzing issues, So we'll go out on a quick break and when we'll come back, we'll continue. Welcome back to Behind the Words. In case you're just joining us, we have started discussing the figurative language of, the Ghost Gun. And right now we are still on the same track because we are not done yet. We need to figure out how much figure of speech used in this very novel and how much you will understand it. Mr. Eric, you're welcome back.
Thank you, Hassan.
Let's go back to page 39.
Okay.
Yes, I'll read out a sentence. There's an explanation I would
All
want you to
right.
give. Yes, on the second paragraph on page 39, you wrote, "It was at this time that Asa was given the archer to lead the warriors, while Balkis was given a calabash and made the Amazon."
Yes. All right. The
There's a key word here,
archer.
archer.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. You see, there's a figurative expression called symbolism.
Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
symbolism is when a symbol is used to represent an idea in the act of literature. Now, you see the archer. In the village of Aji Kingdom, archer symbolizes power. There is that stick they normally use, and there is power in the stick. So when they were preparing for war, the Asa, who is the protagonist of the novel, was given archer because he was the leader to lead the group of the warriors. So he
Okay.
was given the archer. And the archer is full of power, which in a way was protecting them. Now, they were also given instruction as they are going. Any direction they are going and they see that maybe there is a red sign on the stick, you should know that there is a danger ahead.
Okay.
And they were to observe most of the signs. As they were approaching Doku, you could see that in their fifth, they were crossing the fifth river, and they were trying to cross the river, and at a point, the archer became red, which they knew that there is a danger. So they quickly changed their direction, and the color, the stick returned to its normal color. You could also see that.
Was it a magic stick? Something.
Yes.
It was not a normal stick.
It was not a normal stick, and that was
Okay.
what it was called archer. It is a stick that symbolizes power. There is power in it. It tends to protect the kingdom. And it is only the mouthpiece of the gods who was always given the stick. The stick always go out occasionally when there is something big or when the society is about to go into a war combat with another. And the calabash that was given to Balkis was also a form of symbol because Balkis was able to consult the calabash. There was water in the calabash. Anything, any futuristic occurrence will be viewed from that calabash.
So, which means the archer and the calabash, there seems to be
Yes.
There's a relationship.
Yes.
A symbiosis between them.
And I was using them, if you could read through the novel, I was using them simultaneously because the two were serving the same purpose.
Okay.
Yes. So the role of Balkis is only to be consulting the calabash, to be looking into the water. And before they embark on the journey, she was instructed that she should make sure that she hold the calabash and nothing touches it. Because once the calabash is broken, the power will depart from them. And they will not be.
So the power will depart from them. It will leave. So the archer will no longer be functioning.
Yes. So the calabash was meant for Balkis to be doing the incantation. She will consult the calabash, and the archer will give them the signal.
Wow!
So
it's just as if both of them were carrying a shrine.
Yes. And you could see in the course of fighting, you could see how most often the protagonist, who is Asa, was always protecting Balkis because he knew that if something happened to her, then there will be a great danger. So all through the battle, he was always protecting her, and they were able to sustain the calabash until they were able to arrest or captured the ghost god.
Wow. This is a great symbolism. Archer. Wow. Okay, let's move on to another page. I think page 113.
Okay.
Yes, where we have another figure of speech. I'll read the entire paragraph. That's the last paragraph on page 113.
Okay.
You wrote, "It was the next day and the mob gathered at the palace compound to dig the grave. The graveyard was crowded as the grave diggers dug and sang. Some could boast they were great diggers before others were born.
Yes, yes. You see, that is euphemism.
Okay.
And euphemism, as a figure of speech, it simply means when something serious is being presented in a less serious
Yeah, in a milder way.
Yes. When something pleasant or unpleasant, rather, is being presented in a pleasant manner. Somebody died, and you could see that the grave diggers, as in they were digging and busting. Somebody died is as if it is something that you are celebrating the death of somebody.
Yes, yes, yes.
In the course of digging a grave, you should be able to be mournful. You should be sympathetic. Because you know that somebody died and you could imagine the pains that the family will be going through. As the king of a particular land has just kicked the bucket and somebody is digging the grave with smile on their faces, and they were also boasting that they were grave diggers before others were born. So that is a euphemism to explain how some of them were excited in the course of digging the grave. Because, of course, when you're digging grave, sometimes food will be served, their drink will be served in some culture. So some could eat and drink, and it becomes a kind of celebrating somebody that has died instead of
Mourning.
person. So I use euphemism.
So in the village, in the Duku village, they don't mourn, but they celebrate the dead.
They mourn, but sometimes those grave diggers, they are quite funny. Sometimes when they are digging the grave, sometimes they could ask for drink, sometimes they could ask for food, and sometimes when you see them eating, you will see the excitement in them. Instead of being sympathetic, you will not be seeing it on their faces. It will be too glaring that they are not, they are happy. And I use euphemism to give us the picture of what they were trying to establish in the course of digging the grave of the king.
Wow.
And that is called euphemism.
Euphemism. All right. I think we have exhausted some of the, in fact, the major figurative language, yes, used in the book. Now let's focus on the proverbs you have used. On page 19, you wrote, I'll read out the last sentence on the third paragraph. You said, my husband, a man who does not know where the rain begins to beat him, cannot see where he dries his body.
Yes. The proverb was taken from Things Fall Apart.
Okay.
Yes. Because I was writing, and you could see in the course of writing, I made mention of letting your table when I was trying to establish a point.
Yes, true.
So now, in the course of what I borrowed the proverb in order to explain what was happening in the village of Aji. Now, the Aji people were caught unaware in the midst of this unknown gun that was threatening their lives. They were not prepared. And when you are not prepared, you are doomed in the case of eventuality, because you are caught unaware. It's just like you are going out. You never saw it coming, thinking that it will rain today. So you did not carry your umbrella. And when it rains, what will happen?
You get drenched.
You'll be beaten by the rain.
Yes.
You understand? So they were not prepared. So in the midst of this unknown gun, they were being killed. So many lost their lives, and they were grieving the land. But had they not they prepared, this would have not happened. And we could see this thing in our contemporary society today. You will see that most of the time we witness this kind of thing. Look at the issue of Boko Haram today. It has ravaged some part of this country, so much so that you could even feel so sympathetic, especially people that are living in those houses. Life is very, very unbearable for them. But because we were not prepared, we never saw it coming that one day things will turn out this way. And that was exactly what happened in Niger Kingdom. And it is good as a society for us to prepare. Even if we do not see anything coming, we should be always up and doing to see that in the case of eventuality, we should be able to put our hand on deck so that we can address such situations.
Right, let's go to page 22. There's another proverb there. Yes, you said, as our people say, when a man without concentration is faced with war and wrestling, even a woman can push him down.
Yes. The protagonist of the novel was urging the warriors and the Amazons, because the warriors were kind of a mixture between both men and women. So, and I coined the women were called the Amazons.
Why did you call women the Amazons?
Amazon, I tagged the words, and Amazon simply means it is a word that is associated with women warriors.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
When you say Amazon, it connotes women warriors.
Okay.
Why the men, on the other hand, so I used them side by side, and in the course of when they went into battlefield, Asa was trying to inject courage into them, because in the war front, when you're not focused, when you're not determined, you can be consumed by the war.
True.
So he was trying to encourage them, to urge them to have that confidence, to be fully prepared for the unknown. Because in the course of battlefield, definitely you are going to come in contact with your opponent. And if you're not prepared, so I use that proverb to describe the kind of advice that the protagonists were giving to the warriors. And you could see in the course of the battle, some lost their life.
True.
People that were not courage enough,
Yeah.
they lost their life. I think it is only 2 people that finally made it home, and that was Asa and Balkis, who was holding the archer and who was holding the calabash.
So was it that the archer and the calabash actually saved them both?
That is, I wanted to paint another picture that the 2 people, there was power in the calabash and there was power in the archer, and this power was able to sustain them.
It saved them from.
Yes, to make
Okay.
people believe that in some society, of course, there are some tradition that we should love to respect. And cherish, because some of them, in fact, they are real.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on. There's on page 26 on the second paragraph, you wrote, the lizard that jumped from an Iroko tree to the ground said he would praise himself. But before you go on with this, let's go out on a quick break. We'll come back and see how we can continue. And I hope you are still with us. We are still trying to see how we can analyze and digest the ghost gun. Right now, we are discussing the proverbs that have been injected in the book. So we'll continue after this short break. Welcome back to Behind the Words. In case you're just joining us, we have been taking, the figurative language used in the Ghost Gun, and right now we have tilted towards taking the proverbs that have been injected in this very novel. I suggest you pay attention so that you can understand and also learn new proverbs from Mr. Eric. Mr. Eric, you're welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Like I said, the lizard that jumped from an Iroko tree to the ground said he would praise himself.
Yes, that was the protagonist talking. And you see, when they made it home, they were celebrated. Shoulder high brought them home. Because when they approached the village of Aji, people were there at the stream to welcome them back. So they were carried shoulder high. You see, when you go into a battle and you come back alive, indeed it's a mystery.
Even if you are not victorious.
Yes, because so many were gone down. So many people, so many warriors in the course of the battle, they were gone down. But yet, Asa fought vehemently and he was able to bring back home the success of Aji Kingdom. The king celebrated them, the two that made home, even though you could see in the book that those that lost their life, the village also go into a kind of prayers. 6 good days were set aside to mourn those who lost their lives in the battle. They were celebrated. In fact, Asa was also giving, the king gave him the daughter's hand in marriage to him. That is a kind of gratitude to show to him. So two of them were brought home shoulder high and the society celebrated them. A lot of gifts were distributed to them and they feel so excited. So I use that proverb to explain that once you become victoriously in life, people celebrate you. And the same thing is applied into our daily lives or in our society. I can confidently tell you that people who are celebrated are the successors. Once you succeed, you become the man of the people. Just if you read a book, The Man of the People.
Yes.
Yes, you could see once you become a successor in life, people celebrate you. You have more friends. People tend to associate, identify themselves with you. But once you become a failure, nobody is willing to identify with you because they feel you are a failure. You are a disgrace to humanity or to mankind. So, Asa was the protagonist. He fought and he brought home the lost glory of the Aji kingdom, and they were celebrated.
Wow. All right. Let's move on with on page 28. There are also about two different proverbs you have used. Yes. On the third paragraph, the last sentence on the third paragraph, you said, "Our people say, listening to the words of an elder is like consulting an oracle."
Yes. Now, when they were, before they departed and they went into war with the Duku kingdom, the mouthpiece of the god, who I describe as Amadi, injected some words of courage to the warriors.
But Mr. Eric,
Yes.
you described the mouthpiece of the word of the god as Amadi in your novel.
Yes.
But Amadi, the name Amadi is like more of the
Yes.
Igbo kingdom.
Yes.
Now, and your setting isn't an Igbo setting.
Yes.
It's a thief setting.
Yes.
Now, why did you use that?
You see, Nigeria is a heterogeneous society.
Yes.
And we have so many tribes, so many culture. And as a writer, I tend to appreciate all of these culture. You could see that there are some instances I featured some Hausa usage.
True.
The Igbo, and you could look at my cast. They cut across all these cultures. I picked them from different culture so that I could also add value in terms of appreciating this culture we have.
And also so that you can see how there is unity in diversity, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I used to appreciate Professor Marupati so much because he said diversity is a fact of life. And life will be boring if there is no diversity. Imagine only Hausas living in Kano. Imagine only Igbo people living in Enugu. Imagine only Benue people, only Tiv people living in Benue. Do you think life will be fun? The answer is no.
True.
So diversity is a fact of life, and when we learn to appreciate diversity, life will be fun. Because when you have different people cut across different culture comes together, life will be so exciting. But the problem is we tend to sometimes ignore or feel as if some of these culture they are inferior, might supersede the other. And by the time we begin to have this kind of mentality or this thinking, we will not be able to appreciate the diversity of each culture. But when we tend to appreciate people, and that is why sometimes I used to wonder, if you look at the way people, especially the elites, we sometimes I feel that we should be able to learn a lot from them. When you look at the pages, read the pages, some of their comments on the pages of newspaper, or listen to them on radio set or TV, you could see somebody will come out and just be attributing hate speeches. Just some people think Nigeria is Kano or Nigeria is Abuja. You sit in Aso Rock and then you begin to talk as if Nigeria has spoken. Somebody will say something just in Aso Rock there will say Nigeria has spoken. Did you even know the land map of Nigeria? Nigeria is large. You don't have to just sit one place and you say something and the next thing you see it on the pages of newspaper, Nigeria has spoken. Who? Because Nigeria is hugely diverse. Different colors, different people. And if you can be able to appreciate people irrespective of their culture, then we can live in harmony. We can have one voice. Not that you just sit, you think, gather 2-3 people and you say, this is Nigeria. But if really you travel out and you see the land map of Nigeria, you can appreciate the diversity of our own culture.
Yeah, but let's now come back to this very proverb, because we digressed.
Yes.
Actually, I made you digress into discussing why you used Hamadi in a TV setting.
Yes.
But then now let's now come back to this. Our people say listening to the words of an elder is like consulting an oracle.
Yes.
Now, I have a question before you start explaining.
All right.
My question is this: Does this one hold water till today? Is this still practiced? Consulting the elders on some aspect of one's life, or on some issues regarding the safety of a society or the progress of a particular administration. Because why I'm asking this is because we have come of age in this day and age where technology, science has taken over everything. People no longer regard the words of an elder as the words that has weight. They are no longer weighty. And even the elders themselves no longer make people believe that their words are weighty.
Yes.
You understand?
Hassan, I appreciate this question very, very much. You see, that is where we miss it. You see, the elders, they are very, very important in the society. And in a way, we must appreciate them.
True.
They are our fathers. They know more than we do. In spite of the fact that we are living in a jet age, that does not mean we should ignore, because history is part of life. And those who are there before us know things that are happening, both the inside and the out. So they know everything. But today, our society is being divided and sheltered so much so that even the words of our elders are not appreciated. And sometimes it becomes difficult, even with regarding to what is happening in our society today. How many people can come out and say stop, and the youth can be able to stop? No. Or we can just say few. But before now, we have people in our society that when they come out and talk, people listen and they respect them. But today, we don't give homage to those people, and the society is becoming something else.
True.
Look at the issue of Boko Haram today. We have personalities that if they can come out and talk, people should be able to listen, and the youth or people who are behind this should be able to drop their weapons. But we hardly see this because we believe that we have come of age. We can do anything, and there's nobody that will call us to order, or will tell us or advise us this is what we should do. So we must go back to the drawing line, where the youth should be able to listen to the words of the elders. We should be able to look up to people in the society that if something is happening, they can come out and say, stop this, and they will stop. Look at the end SARS protest. So many lives were destroyed or were lost. Properties worth millions of naira were destroyed. But even when the president addressed the nation, telling people the youth should drop their weapons so that let peace return to normalcy, things were still going on. That is to say that we have lost it in a way that even people don't even, or people who are our our leaders, they don't have a say in our lives. We determine what we want to do, how, where, and when to do it. And when we imbibe this kind of thinking or idea in a culture, it will not speak well.
So obviously we still have to go back to this very proverb now, because when you say our people say listening to the words of an elder is like consulting an oracle.
Let me tell you something. Sorry to cut you short, but yes, what make the Aje people to come home victoriously was they listened and they subscribed to the idea of Amadi. Every instruction that was given to them, they make sure they adhered strictly to what was instructed to them.
And they were victorious.
Yes. They listened and they watch the signs of the Acha, and they consult whatsoever the Calabash ministered to them or revealed to them. They make sure they adhere strictly to it. And at any point in time, they are about to go into combat with the Doku people. The protagonist of the novel, who is Aza, will stretch out the archer and he will make some incantation calling on the gods of their forefathers. We are about to strike. Lead us in your own wisdom. And they will go into war and they will win the war. And sometimes we have this misconception. People think that, okay, this is my father. He is the only one that can speak to me. And you see, if you subject yourself into deep thinking and reading literature, you can come to understand that a man is a man to a father. But he is a man of everybody. You can have one mother, but there are so many mothers to take care of.
Yes.
And when you come into this understanding, you will appreciate people. Elderly people in the society, you give them homage because they are like your father. And when they speak, listen to their voice.
All right, Mr. Eric, let's go out on another quick break. We'll come back and see how we can round off. Right. We have been discussing the proverbs that have been injected in this very novel, and I hope you have been with us, you have been following us closely so that you can get the proverbs and also understand the reason why the writer has used them. Let's go out on a quick break and come back and continue. Welcome back to Behind the Words. In case you're just joining us, we have been talking about the proverbs that have been injected in the novel The Ghost Gun, and I hope you have been following us closely so that you can learn new proverbs and also understand the ones that you have not been able to understand by the writer here. He's right here in the studio with me, trying to see how we can analyze this very book. Mr. Eric, you're welcome back. Let's move on to the next proverb. Right. The next proverb is still on the same page 28, okay. The last paragraph. I'll read. I greet you all, my people. I believe that the toad does not run in the day for nothing. It must be after something, or something is after it.
Yes. You see, when the killings were becoming unbecoming in Ajay Kingdom, the king assembled all his subjects in one place on that very occasion or that very day. Now, the messenger, who was the town crier, went and was calling on the Ajay people that tomorrow, before the broom touches the ground, that the kings want to see them in his palace. And they all gathered. And that was the prologue of the speech. The king, he began the speech and he started it in a proverb, because he told them that the essence of their gathering today, gathering at that particular point in time,
Yes.
was for a purpose. There was a reason that he called them. He wanted to get their views, their perception, their opinion on the whole happening, so that he can be able to pick something from them, and then they will be able to ascertain the way forward. And that is a true attribute, is a true sign of a good king. Of course, he could sit there and make decisions on his own.
But he had to consult
He
them.
have to call everybody, the children, the young, the old, men, women, the elderly people, in one place. And he tabled everything before them. This is our problem. What can we do to remedy it? And it was there and then that people were suggesting, and they also invited Amadi, who was the mouthpiece of God. He carried out some incantation. He consulted the oracle, and the oracle revealed to them that this ghost gone, it's a human being. The ghost gone is just an instrument here, but there are people behind this thing. The ghost gun was just a weapon. So, and for you to be able to stop this is for you to be able to address those who are behind the ghost gun, who are the shadow causes of.
So you have to get to the root.
Yes, because some people will be wondering, why going to war to kill the ghost gun? These were the people, the neighboring villages that were sponsoring these killings in the Ajay Kingdom. So they have to go to war. They went to war and they were able to capture those who were using this gun to be perpetrating evil in the Ajay Kingdom. So they brought out their suggestion, and the young people agreed that they are ready to go into war to address the situation so that normalcy will return in Ajay Kingdom.
Wow. It's all right. Let's move on. There's another one on page 34. The hunting of an owl is a bad omen.
Yes. Now in Ajay Kingdom, not only in Ajay Kingdom, but in typical traditional Africa, sometimes you see the hooting of an owl is a bad omen. When you sleep in the Ajay Kingdom, each day, if you're flipping through the novel, you could see there are some places. Each day that Azab will wake up and will be telling the two little sisters, that is Titilayo and Balkis, he will be telling them that I had a terrible dream, or when I was sleeping, I heard the hooting of an owl in one of the three in our compound. That very day, you will see, and most of his dreams, or most of this, the hooting of the owl is always on the market day of the Aji people.
Market day.
Market day, which is on Monday. So every day that he wake up and say that there was a hooting of an owl, that very day you see that the ghost gun will strike. So it becomes obvious that they now pay attention to that hooting up in our own society. And each day they hear the sound of it, they know that that day there's going to be calamity.
But do people still respect these old traditions, this folklore?
A lot in some societies, a lot. There are some society that, in fact, the tradition is still placed in the forefront, and people respect some of the value that are attached or come with this tradition.
So anytime there's a hooting of an owl
In some tradition,
in some
if you
tradition.
pay attention to it, of course, there's going to be a calamity.
But my question is, why is it in some traditions? Is it not that because those people actually have strong belief, strong belief in that? That is why they are beginning to feel okay. Yes, if they hear the hooting of an owl, obviously there's a calamity that will befall them. Let's take for example, let's go out of the thief village now, thief environment.
Yes.
Let's move on to possibly the maybe the Hausa man's environment now.
Yes.
If there's a hooting of an owl, they do not count it as something that is going to be calamitous that will befall them. They just feel it is normal. Why? Because they don't have that belief in it. So, in my own opinion, don't you think it is just a mere belief? Because sometimes when you say ignorance, they said ignorance is bliss. If you do not give a fig about something, it's obvious that that thing is not going to affect you in a way.
You see, I can say yes and I can say no. Yes, in the sense that in some culture it could be just a mere assumption, but in some culture it may not. Hassan, it takes philosophy to examine culture. Some culture, some societal values that are being imbibed by some culture, they are real and they don't joke with it. And it's based on one's thinking and one's belief.
Yeah.
Once you subscribe your belief into that, then it takes effect. But sometimes once you don't believe, now in thief tradition, or let me say, there are some people actually that when you dress in the morning and when you're going out, as a man, you feel you first meet a lady, that day could be a good luck for you. That day is going to be a wonderful day. You experience good deeds, good things. People will dash you things and all that. But there are some people, once they step out and they meet maybe a man, they will go inside and wait for some hours so that when they step out, let them meet a lady, because meeting a lady first is a good luck.
Is a good omen.
Yes. Why some believe that if I meet a man, a lady could believe that once I step out and if I meet a man, it's a good day for me. Some could say it's a bad luck. So it is subject to debate, and it's work for people who believe and subscribe to those ideas. Just like in some society, they could tell you that if you kill a snake, you will die or something will happen. When I was serving in Lagos, there's this snake, this green snake that normally comes to our corpus lodge, and we were instructed that you should dare not kill the snake there in the Yoruba land. And I was, wow. So we see the snake that it is a friend to everybody, and we believe it.
It comes and goes.
It comes and goes. And throughout my 1 year service in Lagos, the snake has never beaten any copper in our corpus lodge. We see them often, but nothing happens to anybody. Maybe because we subscribe to the idea, okay, it's a friend to us, and nothing happens to us. So it is subject to different interpretation.
True, subject to different interpretation. All right, Mr. Eric, we have come to the end of today's session. I don't know if we can still continue because we still have some other proverbs that you have used in the novel. You understand? But then I would like us to go back and take your very first novel, which is The Tears of Destiny.
It's okay.
So in our next episode, we are not continuing with this. Yes, with The Ghost Gone, we are done with it. But we are going to open, another window for for Tears of Destiny. Truthfully, yes. So, and I hope our viewers are very much with us. We are trying to see how we can bring in a different book. That's the very first book written by Mr. Eric, which is The Tears of Destiny. If you have read it, well, you should look, forward to having us sit here and analyze that book in our next episode. And Mr. Eric, I want to say thank you very much for taking out your time to be with us, for this, long, period of time to analyze The Ghost Gone. Because if you do not analyze it, a lot of people wouldn't have understood reason for writing and what you have wrote, and we would not have been able to, paint the big picture, behind the words. And thank you very much, and thank you very much for watching Behind the Words. Behind the Words is a wonderful program that will invite writers into the studio. If you are interested in having your work of art, particularly your book, analyzed, please, you can use the social media platform that is showing on your screen. You can use it to poke me, and we will bring you here in the studio to have your book analyzed, and discussed. And we also look forward to having other writers to come, behind Mr. Eric. Mr. Eric is a prolific writer, we all know. He has so many books to his credit, and he is still, working on some. Yes, he's still working on some. He's still trying to see how he can, capture the world in.
All right.
Yes.
Let's also let me use this medium to also urge some of our writers.
Yes.
Let me urge them that they should come on board, so that people will not be tired of my face every episode and all that. They should come on board. This is a program that is meant for writers, and I believe there are so many writers out there. So let them come, so that at least we can be seeing different faces in the course of our presentation or production.
Yes.
It would be better to have most writers from different places together.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. And thank you very much. We will see you again in our next episode. Bye for now.